Most defense experts have termed the Mi-17V5 IAF helicopter crash as a rare and stray incident. They said that the army helicopters are as safe as the civilian aircraft. And they also reasserted that the country needed more advanced military helicopters. Just like the army, the country's civilian population also desperately needs more helicopters for various needs, including emergency medical evacuations. Who will believe that civil registered helicopters in India were just around 250 a few months ago, and most of them will soon be busy ferrying politicians as the election season is drawing close. In the country's remote corners and in hilly terrains, thousands of people, especially pregnant women and newborn, lose their lives every year due to lack of air ambulances, which are so far confined to a few high-end hospitals in metros. In February this year, the then Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri had said that helicopter operations in India were well below its potential, even as their requirement was seen to be rising in areas like tourism, mining, corporate travel, and medical services. Puri had said that the total number of civil registered helicopters in India was around 250. Meanwhile, he added, Brazil had around 1,250, Australia had around 2,000, and the US had more than 14,000 such helicopters. The Indian civil helicopter market is nascent and might even be diminishing in size. Let us go to Debayan Sen of aviation consultancy Landrum and Brown to get a primer on India's civil helicopter industry.
The industry actually, if you look at it in terms of just pure numbers, the industry is a very nascent. We are about 1% of the overall global market. We're looking at about 260 to 270 helicopters as of 2020. The global market is more than 30,000 helicopters. So very small market. There was a lot of potential. I think, a decade back when the growth was fairly significant, and then for various reasons, the growth did not match with the growth in civil aviation aircraft. For example, the primary usage is in the energy sector. So the sorties that are run to offshore or even onshore oil fields and platforms, this is the primary usage. But these are more advanced helicopters that are used. There's medical evacuation as well as tourism is the other application. Now, tourism is fairly new in India in terms of heli-tourism. Under the new policy, there were several intent. We will do two things. One is we will build a lot more heliports. The lack of dedicated infrastructure for helicopter traffic was one of the challenges. They're also going to designate corridors and hubs that are going to be helicopter operations. The cost of helicopter operation has been very high because they're mixing with civil aviation aircraft at airport. By far, any form of air transportation is the safest form of travel among any other mode of transportation. That's statistically proven. But even within that, the helicopter accidents have been more than civil aircraft in terms of per capita basis, right? So which means one of the reasons potentially is, and it's all down to economics, is the safety directly correlated to your maintenance and your age of your equipment. Helicopters in India are not brand new equipment. There's a significant portion of our fleet which is quite old, more than 10 to 15 years. Even though they should be well maintained, there can be technical issues. The other reason is weather, of course. Our weather forecasting abilities are not as accurate as other markets.
According to a media report, an unnamed source from the industry said that the country's helicopter market was dwindling fast. The source added that people in the industry were increasingly selling off their helicopters. This was in March this year. However, Business Standard was not able to independently verify this trend. So what is ailing the sector? A senior officer in government-owned helicopter service firm Pawan Hans recently told a news website that it's the government rules which are holding back the sector. He said that helicopters are being treated as fixed-wing planes and they are not permitted to land outside airfields or airports in most cases. However, things might be finally looking up for the industry. In October this year, it was reported that helicopter flight permissions would become simpler and quicker as the Civil Aviation Ministry was set to introduce an online application system. Under a new policy announced by Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia, dedicated hubs and corridors would be established while landing charges and parking deposits would be abolished. The enterprise will help in the creation of a database of helipads, thus addressing a long-term industry demand. It will also provide accurate information on helicopter traffic in the country. The government was also slated to put together a dedicated helicopter acceleration cell in the Civil Aviation Ministry. With the new policy in place and the norms relaxed, experts believe that the sector will see some momentum going forward. Now, only time will tell if the helicopter market in India will have a smooth flight or not.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.